Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Rainbow Crossing Podcast, a podcast where Gen X and Gen Z discuss life's challenges and how we face them as queer people. We have these open conversations to foster a sense of community through different perspectives. My name is Julio Guzman, and with me is my roommate,
Daniel. Hey, Julio.
How you doing?
I'm good. You know, it's a holiday weekend here, so I'm laying low.
I mean, same.
I think we might be two relatively boring gays compared to some of our other friends.
Tired gays.
Maybe we're just tired. Yeah.
Especially when it's the same thing every weekend, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really not that much different this weekend. Just the parties are more expensive.
Yeah, and more people from out of town. So
Exactly.
More crowded, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely more crowded. Lots of people at the lake. I'm sure it'll be a good time. I did all of that in my younger days. I don't really have much desire to do it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working the past 5-6 days in a row, so I'm pretty tired. And the lake sounds nice, and maybe I'll find some water this weekend if the sun comes out. But it's supposed to be thunderstormy and raining all weekend.
That's right, starting tomorrow.
We'll see.
Yeah.
TBD.
Yeah, but somebody's pool would be nice, just hanging out with a few friends.
Waiting for the lightning to strike.
Depends on which friends we're talking about here. But, last week we shared a story about the gay penguins, Sven and Magic, and Sven passed away.
Yes.
And
Thank you for reminding me again. Here.
You're
welcome.
welcome.
Want me to cry?
Yep. But it really touched a lot of people, but it also made a lot of people sad. And I guess I shouldn't be laughing about that because it made us sad too. But I was determined to find an equally positive but a little more uplifting story this week.
Okay.
So along those same lines.
No side of depression this time?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, absolutely not. Curtis and author, gay Chilean flamingos at a zoo in Devon, England.
You said gay Chilean flamingos?
Flamingos.
Okay.
I mean, it's not hard to imagine flamingos being gay, but yes. In England, they have successfully hatched the first Chilean flamingo chick at the zoo since 2018.
Wow.
The zoo officials aren't exactly sure how Curtis and Arthur came to have the egg, however. It's likely it was just abandoned by another couple and that they adopted it and successfully hatched it. So in 6 years, the first chick of this Chilean flamingo type was born from a gay couple.
With two dads.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool.
Yeah. These actually aren't the first gay Chilean flamingos that have been in the news, however, in recent years. In 2022, the zoo in Denver, Colorado, reported that the gay flamingo couple, whose names are Lance Bass and Freddie Mercury, actually split up after 3 years together when one of them started stepping out.
Like ditching his partner to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. In other fun, uplifting gay news, Republican state representative in New Hampshire, David Love, Love, has been ordered to pay $100,000 each to two drag queens that he defamed 2 years ago by calling them pedophiles.
Run them their money.
The two drag performers, Robert Champion, a.k.a. Monique Too Soon, and Michael McMahon, a.k.a. Clara Devine, received the $200,000 settlement and a public apology from the ironically named Representative Love. And this is just the latest legal win against these right-leaning individuals who have had these baseless accusations against drag performers. In May, a jury awarded Idaho drag performer Eric Posey, a.k.a. Mona Lisa Million, more than $1.1 million in damages when he was falsely accused of flashing his genitalia at children. And then a more popular case in January, a judge in the UK ordered a conservative commentator to pay Drag Race UK queen Colin Seymour, a.k.a. Crystal, $200,000 after falsely calling him a pedophile.
I remember that.
So,
one I do remember.
Yeah, so I guess there's finally pushback against people who are accusing drag queens of these things that are completely baseless. It's just been another talking point to redirect the conversation away from where we should be, and that's the issues. Kudos to these drag queens who are getting their just desserts after these ridiculous.
I mean, it feels like it's already been like 2 years since they started with these accusations.
Right. The two queens that are getting the $200,000. It was 2 years ago that happened. Gotcha. So it's taken the wheels of justice a little time to turn and
As
get
it
there.
always does.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, the government runs slow.
Yes.
On the things that aren't that important to them, like getting drag queens their money.
Right. Yeah.
Anywho.
But good for the queens.
Yes.
So as we mentioned earlier, it is Labor Day weekend as we're filming this. And
he doesn't let me rest, y'all. I've been working and working and working.
There is
He's
no
been like, let's go. Another one. Another one. Another one. I'm joking.
No rest for the wicked. So it's Labor Day here in Austin. And for those who've never been to Austin, we have a very different kind of setup for our lake situation.
Hippie Hollow.
Hippie
Is that what you're
Hollow.
talking about? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. You've been.
Yes, I have. And you've been too. I don't know why you're acting like, oh, you've been. You've also been.
Yeah, maybe once or twice.
But yeah, this weekend, Labor Day weekend and Memorial Day weekend here in Austin, Texas, there's an event called Splash.
Right.
That's been happening for how?
I think it started in the 90s, actually. So 30 something years,
Yeah.
probably.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But now it's even bigger than it was then.
Yeah.
As things tend to grow every single year and people started getting more familiar with what happens in what city. But for the most part, it's an event that happens at Hippie Hollow.
Yeah.
And it is a nudist cove park
Right.
of Lake Travis.
Right. Clothing optional. You don't have to be
Yeah, you don't
nude
have
to
be
go.
nude at all. But trust me, the gays, they pull up and take off.
Yes. Yes. And those who are clothed tend to have very little on speedos,
Yeah.
thongs, etc.
I mean, it's summer. It's we're
summer.
Out there. We're gay.
We're gay. Yeah. Yeah. But that kind of leads into the topic that we wanted to talk about today, which is body image. And the gays do tend to put their bodies on display or want to put their bodies on display, or at least enjoy when other people put their bodies on display. But it can be a little bit of an issue for a lot of people.
A big issue for
It's not a little.
honestly, like
it's a big.
a lot of the portion of the
Yeah.
gay community has
Yeah.
body image issues.
Yeah, I did some research
Yeah, go for it.
and found some
Hit 'em
actually
with the facts so they know that I'm not just speaking.
right. These are actually a little startling to me. This was a survey conducted by Attitude Magazine in 2017. About 84% of gay men said they feel under intense pressure to have a good body. That same survey, gay men are 3 times more likely than straight men to have body image issues. And 1% from that survey said they were very happy with their appearance. 1%.
Wow.
That's sad.
That is very sad, but not shocking in my eyes. I feel like
No.
every gay person I have met has always said something about themselves that they're not content with.
Yeah,
Me
absolutely.
included.
Yeah, same. There was another study published in 2020 in the journal called Body Image, a survey of 268 gay and bisexual teens and adult men found BDD, or body dysmorphic disorder, in more than 49% of the study participants. So half of the study participants. BDD is classified as a dysfunctional worry with at least one perceived defect in appearance. And defect is a strong word.
Yeah.
Intentionally. And then one more here. According to the U.S. National Eating Disorders Association, among males with eating disorders, 42% identify as gay. We are 5 to 10% of the population. So to represent that big of a percentage of those males with eating disorders is obviously, there's a huge imbalance there.
For sure.
There's a big issue there. They say LGBTQ plus identified folks experience unique stressors that may contribute to the development of an eating disorder. One such stressor is the inability to meet body image ideals within some LGBTQ plus cultural contexts. Gay.
Okay.
Yeah, obviously it's a huge issue in our community.
I mean, we don't need facts to tell us that. I'm sure everyone's
Yeah,
aware.
the statistics are just further proof of what we already feel and know. But I mean, have you had experiences?
So growing up, I was never like insecure about my body. I've always been a skinny boy. Like from birth to the end of high school, I was tiny. I was one of the smaller kids in most of my grades. And I was never having a problem with me being skinny. I think I had more of a problem with my height because I was shorter than most people as well. So I think that's where a lot of my body image insecurities came from. And it wasn't until I entered the gay community and graduated high school and ventured on my own that I was like, oh, it's not just my height. I'm also not strong enough. I'm also too skinny. There's just a lot going on that
Yeah.
I don't feel sure of myself about, or looking at everyone or seeing the idealistic like gay man is in a Speedo at the beach and like tall,
Yeah.
tan, built, whatever it
Right.
is. And I'm the complete opposite. And that's when I really started going to the gym a lot and trying to be bigger, stronger, and more built and look like that guy. But that kept going for a while, especially like going to music festivals and traveling a lot. It was definitely like seeing people. And I also noticed it more when I got rejected. Or I would see somebody who I was interested in and I would flirt with them and it was like, oh, not really the vibe. And then I could see who they would go for. And I'm like, oh, this is like the complete opposite of me. Like, is it because they're taller? Is it because they're more built? Like, what is it? Because when we hang out, there's a great connection. But are you more into physicality? You
Yeah.
know? So that's where I really started to feel more insecure about myself
Yeah.
at a young age, between like 18 to 22.
Yeah. When I graduated from high school, I weighed like 125, I think.
Yeah, that was about me.
Yeah, but I have a few more inches on you.
Yeah.
So I'm about 5'9" and weighed 125, and I continued to weigh 125 for the next 15 years or so. And there was a point, I think I was about 25, 26, and I decided I was going to put some muscle on. And so I found a program online, and it was a 12-week program. And the first 10 weeks was bulk, 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 no cardio. And I was a bit of a runner back then too. So I stopped running, just was lifting as heavy as I could at that time, which wasn't very heavy. But I was eating so much. I ate nonstop. I was sick of eating. But by the end of the 10 weeks, I had gained, I went from 125 to 135. So I gained 10 pounds in 10 weeks. And then you're supposed to go on the fat loss portion. So the next 2 weeks, you're still lifting, but you're doing cardio and you're cutting your calories back a bit. That coincided with my very first breakup as a gay guy. And
Let me guess, you lost the weight?
I lost the 10 pounds I had gained and another 5 pounds.
Gross.
So, and I'd spent all this money, and at that age, I didn't have the money to be spending basically on 6 meals a day instead of 3. It was such a disappointment. So I didn't try to keep the weight up because I knew that anything that disrupted this new lifestyle that I was establishing was going to just wipe away the weight. So at that point, I was in the gay scene, and I remember like going out to the bars at that point in time. And, like I said, being 120, 125 and being so skinny and seeing a few examples of the quote unquote perfect body. And I remember this one guy who kind of vanished from the bar for a little while, very cute guy around my age. And when he returned, like 4, 5, 6 months later, he had this amazing body. And I was so naive. I didn't know anything about anything at that point in time. But I was told he had used steroids to really get his body into that shape. And there was a point in time where I was like, should I do that? I'm going to consider.
A lot of men consider going through steroids.
Yeah.
I mean, working in the fitness industry, I know multiple people who have done it and have considered it. And I feel like it's a common thought process for a lot of men.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend not doing it, just being natural and eating what is healthy for you and working out. Because that's just for size. It's wanting to look a certain way for sure. But most of that's not real.
Yeah.
So work on it a little bit harder. And maybe not be too hard on ourselves where we have to inject things in ourselves to make ourselves look better and bigger and whatnot.
It feels like that's a pretty intense reaction to wanting to change your body, is to literally inject something that's not natural into yourself to see a change. And there are enough studies that it does some damage to you. So it is an extreme reaction, but we're feeling extreme things to want to change our bodies. I have another story from when I was on an all-gay cruise in 2011 or 2012 maybe. I was as lean as I could be, so I had kind of leaned into being lean, and I just figured I'll just make the best of this body type that I have. So I worked out, I was lean, and I felt pretty good about my body. And I remember going back to my room from one of the parties, and I think I just had some shorts on or something and shoes and no shirt. And I saw in the distance 2 people walking towards me, and I could hear them talking about me. And the initial comments were, "Oh, okay, who's this?" And positive.
Yeah.
And then once they got to me, I think they were either right in front of me or had just walked behind me, and one of them said, never mind." Yeah, it was just so debilitating, and it was one of those things that if I had been who I am now then, I would have said something to them, not necessarily ugly or anything, but that should have been a safe space for us.
For sure.
I felt nervous walking in front of them and being as vulnerable and as open as I could be physically. And for them to say that really did a number on me.
Yeah, I'm sure it does. I mean, most of the time I've been insulted for like my height, and I got really insecure about it, especially growing up. I feel like a lot of people didn't want to date me or anything because I was more of the smaller side, and especially being a top most of my life, that's also been a challenge where I'm not seen as masculine enough or whatever it is just because of my appearance.
Yeah.
Now I've grown a little bit into myself, which is nice, but I struggled at a young age to feel the ideal type of what men are looking for.
Yeah, with these comments that they made to me, that they made to you, and that feels like it's the whole world. But on that same cruise, this guy who I thought was the most attractive guy on the ship, I just wanted to get a photo with him because I just thought he was just so attractive. So I went up to him and I was like, "I just think you're just such a handsome guy." And he was like, "Well, I think you're the most attractive guy on the ship." And I was just like, 2 days ago, these guys passing me in the hallway, who, by the way, did not have amazing bodies or anything, had such ugly things to say about me. But then this guy, who I just idolize, would have loved to have had his body type, he said that I had the best body on the boat. So it's all perspectives.
Yeah.
And
but one thing that I will say is that even though we're supposed to be a loving community, gay people are the most judgy people I know, the most judgy people I have ever met in my life. And sometimes I hear gays say really rude things about like people's appearances, just like inside conversation while drinking. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, you didn't have to say all those things.
Yeah.
Like why do people have to just like let those things out? Like keep it to yourself.
Yeah.
It's rude. Like what if they are hearing and maybe you don't know that they're hearing? Like,
or maybe their friend is sitting right next to you and you didn't realize they were friends, and all of a sudden you've started drama that you didn't intend to. I think we all go through that, and I don't know what the source of that is.
But then we also apply it to ourselves, and that's where a lot of body image issues come into play. Because if they're talking about somebody else like that, trust me, they're thinking bad things about themselves too as they look in the mirror.
Well, I think that's the root of the matter is that they aren't happy with themselves, and that's why they have to say nasty things about somebody else, because for a moment it doesn't really lift them up, but it brings somebody else down to their level, so that
it makes them feel superior.
Yeah, or at least they're not alone in their misery.
Yeah,
which is a sad place to be, because we have the power to lift each other up. And for a community that talks a big game about pride and acceptance and love for everyone, we have a long way to go with that.
1000%.
And this initiative that you and I have now, being online, our faces, our bodies showing online, there are a lot of comments about us. And sometimes they're somewhat flattering, and sometimes they are not nice at all. It's just like, I would never say that in a comment to anyone.
No.
Even if it was somewhat complimentary, but I would definitely never say that in person.
No.
So I mean, social media isn't real life, but there are real people behind every post.
Yep. I don't look at the comments for those specific reasons because I could care less what anybody thinks about me or you.
Yeah.
But I'll defend you when it comes to me. I don't even care. You can say whatever you want.
That's the same. Like, because I'm the one usually monitoring the
So
stuff.
people are talking about me.
Only good things.
I hope so, y'all. And even if you don't like how I look, I'm happy with how I look. And that it's taken me a while to get there, obviously. But 2 years ago is, I feel like, when I really stopped caring about fitting into this image and working out all the time and like not being happy with myself. And when I graduated high school, I was 125 and I'm 5'6". And every year I started gaining 10 pounds. Right now I'm about like 160 and I'm 25 years old. And I just remember like still looking in the mirror and still seeing that skinny boy. I'm not getting any bigger. I feel tiny still. And like, people around me are getting older and I still feel skinny. And people are telling me, oh, look, you're growing, blah, blah, blah. And I'm still seeing somebody who's really skinny in the mirror. And that's bad. But the thing that helped me was I've taken a lot of social media breaks. I always like to just delete the app and I see how long I can go. Sometimes I'm going 2 months without it. Sometimes I'm going 5 months without it. And sometimes get it 2 weeks after I do it. But I do notice that those breaks really help me just like be okay with how I look, because social media, you're just comparing yourself a lot of the time, especially if you aren't happy with yourself and you're seeing these ideal people living their best lives and all that, and you're just like, oh, I wish I could live like that, or I wish I had that life. And it messes more with your head than benefits you when you could have anything you want in this day-to-day life.
Right. It's usually just plays with your mind, plays with your self-worth. And it's really damaging if you don't go in with the right mindset. Even if you do go in with the right mindset, social media is a burden more times than not.
And very manipulative. Like nowadays, it knows what you're into and will project it even more. And even if it's not like your ideal things that you're looking for, now it's just in your face because it's with your algorithm.
Yeah, absolutely.
So trust me, I've tried to get rid of shirtless men from my algorithm multiple times, and sometimes I do, and then they creep back in, and I'm like, get out of here. I like one picture, please.
Yeah. I did notice, and I don't know if you did this on purpose or not today, but I did notice you posted a thirst trap on your story.
Yes. Do you know why I posted a thirst trap on my story?
That's why I'm asking.
I posted a thirst trap on my story, so my previous story about voting would be seen more. Literally, because every time I post something like political or uplifting or whatever it is, when I'm pushing this vibe of what I want to see in the world, some positivity, it's like 200 views, register to vote 100 views, random inspirational quote 200 views, and they just stay that way. I posted a thirst trap or just a shirtless selfie, 800 views, 900 views. I'm like, that's at least 500 more people, which is good, but I'm like, why? I have to take my clothes off to make a difference in this world? Like, what's going on here?
I mean, whatever works. Whatever you got to do. No, I thought it was ironic as we go into today's conversation about body image. And I was like, oh, there's Julio's body. There are some photos around the house from you from like 4 or 5 years ago. And you were really, really small. And when I saw that photo, I mean, I see you walk around shirtless around the house occasionally.
Yeah.
But when I saw that photo, I was just like, oh, wow, you have really like
the boy's
bulked
a man.
up. Yeah. A boy no more.
Yeah, it's been rough, but now I'm not even I don't have so much pressure on working out and going to the gym. It's more just like I try to eat healthy. Yeah. I'm working out. Yeah. So what if I don't look the best as I want to see myself? I'm still working. I'm still doing it. So what my body is what my body is.
Right.
As long as you're moving, as long as you're taking care of yourself and happy with who you are, and it doesn't matter what you look like, you know?
Yeah. There are some people who are going to watch this and they're going to look at you and they're going to think this is a really attractive guy. He's in the prime of his life, and it's really easy for him to say that. But the thing that people don't understand
Anyone has insecurities.
is that, yes, every single person has insecurities of some type, and we're all overcoming something. And it's really easy to judge someone, even someone who maybe has the body that you want. We're all dealing with our own insecurities.
Everyone has a different thought about themselves that most people might not even know about. I mean, I'm even guilty of making people feel bad at times for saying something that I didn't know would offend them, specifically friends. Like, let's say I did call someone a demon twink once. And I remember how I felt when I've been called twink at the moments that I didn't want to be called twink.
Right.
But then I grew out of that. Like, people call me twinks, and I'm like, who cares if I'm a twink? Like,
Yeah.
that's where my mind took me eventually.
Yeah.
But I had to be sympathetic for people that are in that place at this moment.
Absolutely.
And I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Like, I did hurt your feelings. And we shouldn't be doing that to people because you don't know how they're going to feel. Some people might be okay with it and understand that that's how you joke and that's how you love.
Yeah.
But somebody, that might hurt them so bad that they just get broken.
Yeah, we just don't know what someone may be going through because they may not be speaking it out loud. I do think it's funny that, not funny, but I think it was interesting that our friend was upset not at the demon part of the word that you use for him, but the twink part, because a lot of people would love to be twinks for a long time, but it's something that they were dealing with, much like you didn't want to be skinny, much like I didn't want to be skinny forever. You never know what's going on in someone's mind. So if we can just...
And even sometimes people will joke about themselves to make it themselves feel okay with how they're feeling.
Yeah.
But sometimes when someone you know tries to make that same joke about you, it might actually hurt them, which I've seen happen a couple times as well.
Yeah.
Just because your friend is joking about it doesn't mean you do, because maybe they are feeling some type of way about it too, and they just don't know how to approach it or deal with it and cope with it a certain way.
I think if it's related to their body, the best advice is to only uplift and not joke. Just be as positive as you can be, because we are all sensitive to it one way or the other.
And if you are feeling something about yourself, talk to your friends about it. You know, there's not going to be a better person to lift you up than them and make you feel more comfortable about yourself, or also maybe try to help you navigate through how you're feeling and come up with different ways to cope with how you're feeling.
Yeah.
And do something about it.
Yeah.
In a healthy and a good way, obviously.
Right. Let's talk about the causes. Like, why do we, specifically as gay men, why do we feel this way? Straight men clearly aren't in the same boat as us.
Yeah. We've had to basically be the best in every way to either not be discovered, or the best in every way to be surpassing those ideal images of us. Like, oh, if you're gay, you're never going to be loved. You're not going to be supported in the right way, whatever it is that you're being told growing up being gay. And it's like, no, I'm better than all that. So we are pushing for those things to get all those things that we want.
I think that many of us were either rejected by someone or multiple someones when we were coming out, or we were afraid we were going to be rejected. And therefore, that perfectionism that you talked about, a lot of us turned to that in order to build up our sense of self and to protect ourselves from potential rejection. If I'm the best at this, this, and this, I'm less likely to be rejected. And unfortunately, that's an experience that a lot of gay men just go through by default, whether someone in their life is actually critical of them being gay or not. Another reason is men are very visual creatures, straight and gay men.
So if we're not seeing something being perfect, we need to get it done.
Right. Along those same lines of men being visual creatures, you know, a man can attract a woman without necessarily having a 10 out of 10 body. But if it's two men who are both visual creatures, how do you attract that other visual creature? It's by being more physically...
Yeah. I think we need to let our guards down, or try to expand your vision of what perfection is. Because, I mean, we think we're trying to be perfect, but really being perfect is being imperfect. If you think about it, like being
Yeah.
human enough to like let your shield go down and your guard go down, and the thought of you being a certain way, if you let that go and just take care of yourself, that's perfect.
Yeah. As someone who has worked with a lot of models over the years, I've seen a lot of quote unquote perfect bodies and builds. And for me personally, those perfect Adonis type guys, I actually don't really find them that attractive. Like I want somebody who has, I don't want to say flaws, but someone who's just not perfect. I don't know if it's because I was exposed to so much of that type of beauty, but I find it kind of boring, honestly. Like it's just picture perfect, and where's the fun there?
Yeah. The first type of guys that I would go for were definitely those ideal men that you would think they're a model, they're beautiful, they work out all the time, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until like 3-4 years after that I was like, this is all kind of the same. And I'm kind of like not into it as much anymore.
Yeah.
Then I started getting a little bit more rugged and a little bit more like not as fit in a way, like they still go to the gym, but not as like I need to do abs every single day kind of vibes, you know?
You don't need a six pack from your guy.
Exactly. Like it's not that important.
Speaking of that, one of the other things that I was thinking about is the media, how media represents gay people on TV and in movies and that sort of thing. We oftentimes see the very handsome 10 out of 10 leading man, gay best friend, and they're all fit and look great and often white. And there's not a lot of variety there. So that's what a lot of us grew up on. And therefore, that plays a big role into it. I mean, media does in general for everyone, for women, for straight men. But gay men have had such a small percentage of representation on the big screen.
Honestly, probably a lot of my body dysmorphia issues maybe have come from porn, if I'm being honest. When I was searching gay when I was younger, the only thing that would pop up was porn. There was these gorgeous men, obviously, having sex, but you just look, and those are the only men that are displayed as being gay. So, like, what does that do for you? I'm supposed to look a certain way, and then when I'm not looking that certain way, you feel a little bit down on myself. Yeah, if you're not 6 foot with abs and a huge chest, you're not hot.
Yeah.
Nowadays, there's obviously more outlets to a more diverse community of gay people. It's getting there. Could be more diverse.
Yeah. One of my initiatives when I worked at Fleshlight and was recruiting models was to be more diverse in my selections. Because when I first started, it was all white. There was one person who was a mixed guy, and those were our options for products based on porn stars. And I really wanted to do and did accomplish was to get a variety of different people, signing the first Asian guy, which it's just crazy that it took that long because that company has been around for a long time, getting a lot of Hispanic guys and more black guys on board, and all different heights and sizes. I mean, they're all in pretty decent shape, of course, but there was much more of a representation of our community. And porn has come a little ways, but it has a long way to go, just like the gay community does in general. Talking about causes, we spoke a little bit about it initially about social media body shaming and stuff, but the hookup apps are a really tough spot for that too. I haven't been on a Grindr in many years.
So I'm going to tell you this now.
Yeah.
I downloaded Scruff yesterday.
You did.
I downloaded Scruff yesterday because it's been a while.
Yeah.
And I was also been a while since I've done some things. And I was feeling some type of way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do Grindr. I don't want to do Tinder. I'm going to try Scruff, something I never tried before. I lasted one day. Today I deleted it. I was like, I'm over it. It's just nothing's working right now.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Well, I think Scruff is I think they are a little more open-minded about body types.
Yeah. I did appreciate that there was way more variety of people and it was nice.
But Grindr, I remember in the old days, the no fats, no femmes comments. I'm just
all the time.
Like how, and I'm sure it's still, people still say that. and just the body shaming that goes on within the gay community. I don't know why that needs to be said.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop. All of that needs to stop.
Yeah. It really does. So what are the solutions here?
Being happy with yourself.
Yeah. But how do we do that? So for me, it's being healthy for the sake of being healthy.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's the boat that you've been in the last couple of years too.
But it's also talking to yourself in a nice way. Like, there's been so many moments, as dumb as this sounds, where if I have been feeling down in the past, I look in the mirror and I tell myself really nice, sweet things. Like I tell myself, hey, you're doing the best that you can.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling, I haven't felt bad about like my weight or anything in a while, but at that point I'm like, you're working hard, like you're making the moves, like just be content with what you're doing and everything else will align how it needs to be.
Yeah.
And that's how I did it, just looking myself in the eye and telling me the things that I needed to hear to get move on, instead of telling myself, oh, you're short, oh, you're skinny, whatever it is, you know?
And there's nothing wrong with wanting to improve your body. I think the challenge is to make sure you're doing it for yourself and that you're doing it for the right reasons. A year and a half ago, I weighed 160, but I was not at a healthy 160. And it was certainly the most I'd ever weighed in my life. I had stopped going to the gym when COVID hit. And I was really nervous after COVID to go back to the gym. And my gym actually closed down permanently. And then I had gotten into a relationship and we moved to this house, and there were a lot of factors involved. Work was really busy, and I didn't go to the gym. I tried to work out some at home, but I didn't go to the gym for 3 years. So last year, I started going back to the gym, and I already was eating pretty healthy. So the gym was the only change in my life at that point as far as physicality goes. And I wound up losing 15 pounds over the course of about 15 months, so a pound a month. So I was doing it in a healthy manner, and I was doing it for myself. And the only person I was comparing myself to was myself. Every month, every few weeks, have I taken a step forward? Yeah, because I've gone to the gym 3 days a week. I did cardio 3 days a week. I'm making forward progress, and I can actually see it in the mirror. I can see it on the scale. And it makes me happy because this is for me and this is for my long-term health. Because I'm at an age right now where I don't need my blood pressure to be up, and I need my heart to be healthy. And so all of these things I'm doing are making me happy. And honestly, I think it's that internal happiness that attracts other people more than what the body looks like.
Definitely.
I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
The quality people anyway.
Yeah.
The people that you actually may want to have a relationship with.
I remember that like when I first moved to Austin and was in the gay world, I felt like you have to post on Twitter like shirtless pics and just it go viral and stuff. And I noticed that a lot of people will just follow you based off of what you look like and
of course
not even know you. And then you could be meeting someone in the same town and meeting them before multiple times, and they like don't remember you based off of how you look, but then will remember some Twitter person that they've never met before. And it's like interesting how we have to like take our clothes off and post it for us to be noticed.
Yeah.
That needs to stop.
Those might not be the people.
As I post a shirtless picture.
Yeah. Those might not be the people that we really want in our lives, though. So they may be pointing it out.
There's nothing wrong with posting a shirtless picture, but if that's all you're taking from something and like noticing them just for being beautiful, like we need everyone's beautiful.
Right.
Let's start feeling that way about ourselves.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about talking to your friends, but therapy is not bad either.
Therapy is expensive.
If you have the means to do it, absolutely.
I've been my own therapist. Well, you part-time, but I've been my therapist my whole life.
Yeah.
And sometimes people, that's what you're going to have to do, but you can rely on people. That doesn't mean overshare with everybody, because not everybody's got your best interest.
No.
But find the people that do matter to you and who understand you, and open up to them about how you're feeling.
And like you said, like not every friend is going to be sympathetic and empathetic to your plight. So the important thing is to find your tribe. And I think that's maybe one of the biggest and best ones is build your community, find your community. We talk about that a lot on here. And that's one of the things we're trying to do here is forge this online community of people who are going to uplift one another. And hopefully we can do that with our viewers.
So all I have to say is if you are feeling some type of way about yourself and how you look and how you're being perceived, just find a way to move a little bit. Find a way to look in the mirror and tell yourself nice things instead of negative things.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been physically active and you want to, go for a walk. I always say this all the time, but a walk is honestly the best thing you can do at any point of the day. Yeah. Just make sure it feels nice outside because you don't want to pass out from the heat, especially if you're in Texas. Yeah. But if you have a staircase, go up 5 steps, go down 5 steps, go up 5 steps, go down 5 steps. Do that 5 times. One day, one day 5 up, 5 down, 5 sets of those. The next day, you maybe go 10. You do 10 sets of those. If you need the rail, use the rail. And then practice it without the rail. And just slowly start moving your body that way. And then telling yourself nice things, There's so many different things you can do just to feel better. And doing those things release a lot of endorphins.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Moving the body.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about how you treat yourself. And it's not only, as you were saying nice things to yourself. That's super important, of course. But it is also recognizing what bad habits that I have in my life that I need to remove or at least reduce, because moving your body, as you said, whether it's going to the gym or just taking a walk or up and down the stairs, trying to eat healthy, eat less processed food, less junk food,
Eating
less
out,
sugar. If you can, do a little more whole food eating. That helps a lot. Sleep, just getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep every night, it makes a huge difference.
Oh my God, sleep, yeah.
Reducing alcohol intake. If you smoke cigarettes, reducing nicotine in your life. These are all common sense things. There's nothing groundbreaking that we're talking about here.
And yet a lot of people struggle to do it.
And yet a lot of people struggle. But if you step back and take note of the fact that when I do these things, I'm lifting myself up, I'm improving myself, I'm championing myself to be the best version that I can be, then all of a sudden it seems less burdensome and actually more rewarding.
For sure. And you don't have to go cold turkey or go full throttle the whole way for everything. Take it little by little.
Right.
Build those things up.
I mean, a lot of these things we use as crutches in our lives to help us get by, to feel better. But I think if most people realize that once we put into place all of these healthy living practices, that we don't need the crutch anymore because we feel great. And it's not just physical. This is a total mental thing, an emotional thing. Going to the gym regularly, eating healthy, it makes me feel so much better about myself, because I've suffered from depression throughout my life, and that really helps combat it.
Yes. I totally agree.
Yeah.
So for those he's, she's, theys, whoever you are out there, you're beautiful, and I love you.
Yeah.
And Daniel loves you too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you should love yourself too, because that's where it's most important.
Right. Learning to love yourself. It's a challenge, but we believe in you, and one step at a time, you can do it.
Well, great body positivity episode.
Yeah.
And it only should be more positive from here on forward.
Yeah.
Clock me. I'll clock you. Clock your friends if they're not being friendly about whatever.
Right.
And talk to your friends if you're feeling down about something.
Absolutely.
Well, great episode.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Like, comment, follow, and we will see you next week.
Love ya.
Bye.